Okay. Greetings and welcome to the ICOM UK Student and Emerging Professionals Museum Talk event. I am Robert Ren, the Student and Emerging Professional Representative of ICOM UK and one of the co-organizers of our S&EP working group. We appreciate for all of you to join us today, and I'm excited to see such a good turnout, at the beginning of August. A lot of familiar names and some new names as well. Please allow me to introduce this initiative to those of you who are joining us for the first time. So we are part of ICOM UK, and this is our 10th event now. We would like to engage more with the younger generations working in the museum and cultural sector, and our aim is to build a stronger community. Today we will have a 90-minute session as always, with a presentation from our guest speaker, followed by Q&A, in which you are welcome to bring any thoughts about the presentation. Then we'll have more time for open discussion, during which you can feel free to add your ideas. If you have any questions or would like to contribute to the discussion, you can either use the chat function and I will read out your question, or raise your hand, unmute yourself and go ahead. And before we start today, I would like to first share some exciting news with you guys. So the first one is the very first ICOM UK Student and Emerging Professional Conference is going to take place on 7th of December this year. It's titled Crafting Experiences in Museums, Physical or Digital. This is going to be an online conference dedicated to students and emerging professionals specifically. And the calling for papers is now live, and the deadline for submission is 28th of August. Please see this document, which I think Athena have copied in the chat. And you will find relevant information there and also on the ICOM UK website next week. Yeah, another thing is we're still calling for speakers. So if my colleague Athena, could you copy the call for speakers link now, please? Yeah, so if you're ever interested in joining us and becoming a guest speaker, please fill this Google form and we'll be in touch shortly. Just put your name, email, and the topic that you're interested in. Okay, enough with these, and let's get started with today's museum talk. I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker, Christiana Kazakou. She's Program Engagement Specialist for Leonardo and ICEST and Laser Talk. As part of her research with IDAT, she investigated transdisciplinary curatorial models and spatial trajectories within the art and science discourse. Her talk for us today is titled Synthesizing Discourse, Art, Science, Technology for Future Museum. Hello, Christiana. Please take over whenever you're ready.
So, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm going to share my screen. Hello everyone, this is Christiana. Thank you so much for making a brief introduction. I think I would like to expand a bit more before I start on my background to give you a bit of context about the talk. So I come from an art management background and then art and science. And my curiosity has been over the years to find out about transdisciplinary discourse and how art, science and technology converge within actually the cultural sector. So I have been an active member on different projects and also on Leonardo. Leonardo is the International Society for Art, Science and Technology. And in the context of this organization, I'm actually organizing the laser talks, which they take place in 50 cities and 5 continents worldwide, and is about interdisciplinary dialogue and community building. So my curiosity, like within the museums, has been like how emerging technologies redefine actually museum practice, as well as how we can build collaborations between art, science, and technology. So throughout my PhD with IDAT, I'm looking like I have been visiting different spaces, whether this is like a science lab, a museum, a cultural center, an art museum, and also like organizing hybrid and digital projects myself. So I'm looking actually how collaboration frames within like these disciplines, and I'm looking what is actually the connection between them. So with IDAT, we are actually an open research lab for playful experimentation with creative technologies. Our lab actually is doing research on cultural computation, on audience behaviors, environments, and artificial intelligence, small far away, big small data analytics, visualization, sonification of data, behaviораbles and futurables, Internet of Things, remote sensors, robotics, props and wearables, interactive and immersive environments, new experiences in enhanced physical, augmented and virtual spaces, ludic systems, playful subversion, real-time social gaming, and playful soft hardware. And I'm going to start actually about how I define like experimental culture. My curiosity started of what actually are the similarities and differences between art and science. So starting from the Renaissance era, Leonardo da Vinci, the Italian polymath, like all the disciplines actually coexisted. We had this ideal of the universal Renaissance man. And then in the 1959, we had the very actually important talk by C.P. Snow, where actually in his Rede lecture at the University of Cambridge, he divided the intellectual life between two cultures, the sciences and the humanities. Then actually we moved into like a third culture where we merged the boundaries of art, science, and technology, in which these three disciplines no longer function separately. And now we move towards like a complex network of knowledge, or even actually a form of a new digital renaissance. So what actually are the differences though between art and science? While actually art seeks aesthetic response, is more idiosyncratic, is based on emotion and intuition, is communicating like visually or like through sonic mediums, is more evocative and metaphorical, and it values break with tradition. While actually science is more like seeks knowledge and understanding, is based on reason, is normative, is the communication is based on a narrative text, is more explanatory, and values systematic building on tradition and adherence to standards. Even though there are like many differences between art and science in terms of their methodologies and approaches, they also have like a very common ground with some similarities which actually bring them together like in many practices and mediums, which are like valuing the careful observation of their environments to gather information through the senses. They value creativity. They propose to introduce change, innovation, or improvement over what exists. They use abstract models to understand the world. They aspire to create works that they have a universal relevance. So another like very interesting part of my research is actually about disciplinary approaches. And I'm not sure how many of you they have actually come across, of course, like these terms, but I also had like this curiosity of what every term means like in practice and how actually this transmits into even museum practice. So like interdisciplinary is actually when we work with within a single discipline. Cross-disciplinary is a definition of viewing one discipline from the perspective of another. Multidisciplinary is actually looking different disciplines working together, each drawing on their disciplinary knowledge. Interdisciplinary is integrating knowledge and methods from different disciplines, synthesis of approaches, and transdisciplinary is creating a unity of intellectual frameworks beyond the disciplinary perspectives. So there's different like spectrums of collaboration when actually we go like side by side, where parallel work by two or more specialists informing each other form the base of their discipline. Overlapping, experts from different fields come together to expose common questions they have about an issue. And synthesis, when actually experts from different fields collude to try to ask questions what neither could ask alone. So the intersection of art and science and technology represents a fascinating and dynamic space where creativity, innovation, and human understanding converge. The collaboration between art and science nurtures a sense of wonder and curiosity, driving exploration and pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. It promotes a holistic approach to problem solving, combining analytical thinking with creativity and intuition, fostering a more well-rounded understanding of the world. And I have actually prepared like a few case studies. I don't think we have like lots of time to expand on each case study, but I have actually prepared a few slides for 4 museums. So the first one is the Art Science Museum in Singapore, which actually it is also about the future and how we imagine the future. The mission is to explore the intersection of art, science, and culture and technology in order to form like new innovative ideas. So they have actually a permanent exhibition, the Future World exhibition, which is transforming the museum into a digital playground where you can imagine, play, and explore. And they have actually featured like 17 cutting-edge installations and open a world of playful possibilities through the adventure of exploration. They also have launched like a new VR gallery, which is the whole new virtual reality world beyond actually is actually displayed in the VR gallery. Is a permanent space that celebrates curiosity, innovation, experimentation through cutting-edge virtual reality artworks. They have been actually building collaborations with film festivals, scientists, artists, and museums to present immersive experiences, and also like present artists that they push the boundaries of reality by discovering the unexplored. So one of their projects is the Starry Sand Beach, where actually is a journey over the stars, deep into the ocean, and in this VR scientific fairy tale, ancient beings' memories and the growing impact of climate change comes to life. So all these collaborations, they also like they merge through like a convergence between art, science, and technology. And sorry, one moment, please. Yes, and then another actual installations they have been presenting is the Crystal Universe from Team Lab. They have also collaborated with Marshmallow Laser Feast, and the Crystal Universe uses accumulation of distinct dots of color to create a picture. Here, like light points are used to create 3-dimensional objects, and this interactive artwork expresses universe through accumulated light points. The audiences, they can use their smartphones to select elements that make up the universe by dragging them and releasing them into the crystal universe. Each element of the universe sent into the work influences that of other elements and is influenced by presence of people in the space. So the artwork in a way is evolving, changing moment to moment due to the people in the space. So the second museum is the Ars Electronica Center, which is often called the Museum of the Future. What is very interesting actually about the Ars Electronica Center is also that they have a series of labs. So they have a futuristic approach where you can experience artificial intelligence, thinking, and how new technologies actually are changing our lives. So they have some exhibitions that they also like derive from projects and collaborations they have with universities, industry, and one of the exhibitions is the Understanding AI, where you can explore actually what is artificial intelligence, what do we actually know about human intelligence, how intelligent can artificial intelligence be in comparison, And what effects will the advances in this field have on our society? They also have another exhibition on the artificial intelligence and music, which is about encountering actually the merge between these two, as well as human creativity and technical perfection. While actually music is the most emotional of all art forms, it's also deeply connected to mathematics, to the physics and sound production. So this means that from the very beginning, the history of music is also the history of the instruments, tools, devices needed to perform, record it, and reproduce it. So in addition to the exhibitions, what is very interesting, they have a very active educational program, but they also have a series of labs where they show like they run actually different educational programs, as well as installations and projects and guides. So like some of their labs actually is the neurobionics, the biolab, the material lab, citizen lab, the second body lab, and kids research laboratory. A very interesting actually initiative, which is more like linked to industries, the future lab, which is more like an atelier for future systems. And they build collaborations with different industrial partners to come up with solutions. So in that context, transdisciplinary work is actually not just an inspired method, but a living reality that transcends a mere cooperation of a few artistic disciplines. In the lab, there are about 42 members working from 8 countries and different disciplines, such as architecture, biology, chemistry, graphics, informatics, art, media design, media technology, music, physics, sociology, and telematics. So like this section, yes, is conceptualized as an artistic scientific think tank and as a studio lab. And many of actually the experiments and this lab culture transmits into the museum. So basically many of these explorations and projects, they are exhibited, and the prototypes, they're exhibited in the museum. Then we have actually the Museum of Future in Dubai, which is actually a home for optimistic imagination, committed to a more sustainable future for all. It's about actually shaping positively like humanity's next chapter and reimagining the future. So it takes a form actually of a journey to 2071, where you can explore like pioneering new worlds, like bot baristas, robotics, and in a way, it's almost like a cabinet of high-tech curiosities. In the museum, they have like, it's actually 7 floors, and you can actually inhabit the skies by a voyage like to space. You can discover new worlds through like new explorations. You can witness the wonders of Amazon by immersing a mixed reality recreation of the Amazon rainforest. You can explore a DNA library of life, collect and contribute to the wonders of nature, reviving your senses via disconnecting to technology, as well as seeing yourself and the world through new eyes by immersing yourself in vibrations that rebalance electromagnetic fields and restore your natural rhythms. Finally, I actually took some interviews for this presentation from the Smithsonian, from the Cooper Hewitt Museum and the Hirshhorn Museum. And the Hirshhorn Museum, they used to run actually an art lab that is no longer active, apparently. But what is very interesting, they have actually a new application where you can, it's actually a revolutionary in-gallery art guide, where like it uses image recognition to scan art as you go and unlock exclusive artist videos inside their info. So it basically connects you directly with the contemporary artists. You can hear directly from the artists from original videos, such as like Olafur Eliasson, Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, Lorna Simpson, and many more. And even though I would like to conclude with like art and science and generally all those collaborations is actually a synthesis discourse in action. So it takes different forms. There's different models of collaboration, and it definitely like represents a powerful force for positive change, is inspiring new perspectives, is enriching our collective understanding of the universe and ourselves, and encourages us to embrace curiosity, complexity, the unknown, and forging a path towards a more enlightened and harmonious future. Thank you.
Thank you, Christiana. That's a very wonderful presentation and so many fantastic case studies and interviews. And I'm sure this is an ongoing project for you, right? So
yes.
Yeah, very looking forward to the future collaboration with these museums and also more interesting and fantastic interviews. So now it's time for everyone to engage. You're all welcome to share any questions. Just like I mentioned before, you can either type the question in the chat box or you can raise your hand and then I will ask you to unmute yourself and ask the question directly. And in the meantime, yeah, I was gonna ask a question first, but I see Aya's hand is up, so yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Christiana. Hi, everyone. I mean, it's a very interesting, fascinating paper you just read, and it's very interesting. The question is about, say, like the Dubai Museum. How sustainable is it, considering, say, the ICOM goals of sustainability and so on and so forth? Considering the infrastructure and ecology of Dubai in particular, how well has that point been addressed?
I have to be honest, I didn't look into like the sustainability perspective because also like it's a very high-tech museum, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't looked into the sustainability aspect. I actually more explored like the content in relation to the theme of the museum.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. It's just that clearly these days we want to have the access to technology. The thing is that there's a philosophical question, I suppose. Are we running away with ourselves too fast, looking at the wonders of what science can do, but what really are the long-term consequences? I mean, it's an interjection, but on the philosophical point, but also a practical one, I think.
Someone raised the hand.
Hello, hi. Thank you for your presentation, Christiana. That's really interesting. I was wondering, what kind of perspective are you looking at it at the moment? Is it like what's your research questions, or like is it how the future museums are having a specific way to present their space in order to accommodate this kind of art, or is it how art is being presented through technology? What kind of more specific?
Yes, so my actually research interests are like on the curatorial approaches, collaboration, and the role of spaces in actually like art, science, and technology. So also like even sustainability is addressed like through different projects, and it's addressed like through different museum practices and even actually more like thematic museums. But I don't think the museums I'm looking at are more like tech oriented. So I'm very interested in the fourth industrial revolution and how emerging technologies are redefining museums, becoming actually hybrid museums.
Since it's like it's important also to see how the space has been changed in order to accommodate this type of exhibitions, but also how technology accompanies it.
Yes, but I'm also very interested in how like the architectural design reflects the conceptual design and the curatorial approach of the museum.
Yes. And in which school are you in? Is it architecture or?
I am actually at the University of Plymouth at the School of Art, Design and Architecture.
Oh, nice. Meet you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rafaela. Anyone else? Yeah, while waiting, maybe I'll ask my question to you, Christiana. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's always a case, you know, with how traditional museums are trying to combine with, I mean, science and technology, and I think these years they're actively doing so. And just like you said, you know, it's very interesting to see how they combine, you know, and how they let each other in, and how the science and technology reshape the museums and exhibitions and the works. And I was just, you know, thinking just now, because we had a talk previously on a post-pandemic visitor experience, and I am sure that, you know, these interplays of tech and museum will change or challenge the visitor experience in a traditional sense. So I'm curious, you know, how can the integration of theory, research, and practice in museums enhance the visitor experience and, you know, contribute to the envisioning of the future role of museums in society when combining with technology and science?
I think it just like takes different like modes of experience. So we are more like entering like a mode of experimental engagement. And museums, they have to readopt like by using new applications like the Smithsonian. It depends on the museum. So like the Cooper Hewitt Museum, they digitize all their collections to make it more accessible. So accessibility seems to be, and sustainability, they seem to be very important themes for museums, but also like through the means of technology. So I was actually recently part of a program. It was called Mindsets and Missions. And it was actually part of the Museums Association. And there were 30 science and discovery centers, part of this program, 15 change makers, and the UK Research and Innovation. And we were looking collectively how we can engage with research within the museum practice, and we think of new ways of engaging actually with research outside the practice that we know at the moment. And we all actually discussed that we have to move also like outside the museums. So we can't expect the visitors to only like enter a defined space. So we need to like through technology, like create these hybrid experiences where like people have access to even like the collections. So an example, like we are here, like I'm not sure from, I guess we're not all from the UK even today. So like this is an amazing moment that we all connect, and this wouldn't be possible actually without COVID, I guess. So I guess COVID changed like a lot of our common like habits, and the museums actually they have to readapt as well.
You know, that's also one of the key themes that we are focusing on as the student and emerging professional group. You know, it's how to redefine museum. You know, museum beyond walls. That's also one of our previous talk. Yeah, thank you for answering that.
But also, I think like it's important to build like more collaborations. And
yes,
yes, and actually having like a collective like action towards like about new practices.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, so I saw 2 hands just now. Yeah, Athena, please go ahead.
No, Rafaela, go on ahead and I'll go after you.
Are you sure? I was just basically wanted to say it's not like a question. It's more about like as a guideline. Are you in the beginning of your PhD, right?
No, towards the end.
Towards the end. I think it's just important to understand if it's like we see it as an from the position of a visitor, in a sense of like how phenomenological someone is experiencing the space and how this affects this, like from the space towards the visitor, or if it's from the designer's perspective on how we design a space in order to accommodate this specific exhibition and what kind of result we want to give. At this, I wasn't sure if it's like you see it from the perspective of the visitor or from the perspective of the designer or from the perspective of the artist.
I'm actually seeing it from the perspective of the curator.
The curator, okay.
Yes, and more like a curation as a methodology.
Okay.
So I'm very interested in methodology, like how these different spaces actually they work like methodologically different about art and science convergence. So an example, like I went throughout my research at the Idea Square at CERN, where they had a collaboration with the Royal College of Art about challenge-based innovation. But this was a hybrid hackathon that it was happening before COVID. So I'm very interested actually in like open innovation and challenge-based innovation and how we can think of new like models, but through like a curatorial approach and methodological approach.
Oh, great. Okay, that really helped to understand from what kind of perspective.
And also like a theoretical architecture. So thinking about space conceptually.
Okay, I see, like Peter Zoom thought kind of side. Yes, thank you. Okay, understand, thanks.
Yeah, Athena, go ahead.
So my question was the reception of audience and audience engagement on these new practices of bringing the digital into the space, and how does so before we knew the exhibition space and it was more familiar, how do these changes affect the visitor when they go to the museum? Are they apprehensive? Are they excited? Are they curious? How has this change is reflected in the audience?
I think the technology actually makes you feel like more included, and especially like with interactive technologies, the kids actually they love them and they're more playful. So in that sense, it creates like more an experiential way of participating, as well like the interaction. So I guess that the audiences, they like it more like when they feel part of something. So the participation is more active and dynamic than being actually an observer. And this actually automatically creates an experience. It's also like more like entertaining. And also like is about looking into new modes of learning as well through like this interactivity.
I have a question about that, but let's go, let Farah go, and then I can ask about that.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I don't have a specific question. I just have some reflection on the topic. Two things that just come to my mind. First is that I think we need to just remember that even though digital and technology make the experience as more inclusive and accessible, but we need to keep it in mind that still the curators have some message to get across. So it's still them that they decide what paradigm they're thinking through, what messages they want to get across. So it's one thing that's come to my mind. They decide what the messages they want to choose. And the other thing is that it's very interesting for me. I'm a fan of technology and immersive technology as well. So for me, it's very interesting to go to a museum that I can experience VR, AR, or different mode of engagement. Because nowadays, I believe, I'm not a very young person, I'm near my 40s, but I'm just thinking it's very interesting for younger visitors as well, but also I think for all visitors, it's very interesting experience. And I think nowadays people want more than reading a label. They just want to engage all modes, listening, touching, seeing the other words. So for me, it's very interesting thing that nowadays the expectation of audiences, I think, go beyond the traditional mode of engagement. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's not exactly a question, yeah.
But it was a very interesting reflection. Thanks for sharing. I think that's a point exactly. It's a different mode of engagement.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can even move this to our free discussion and talk more, there. It's a very interesting topic. Any other questions from our audience?
Mine was the probably most boring one, but I do feel I have to ask, how is the reporting being done now? Like in the past, we're used to have these annual reports on access, for example. So this fusion with technology and art and science, how is that reported? Like from what sense? Are there any criteria built or is this a field that is also developing as these new practices emerge?
When you mean reporting, what you mean? Like
I mean, like every year, for example, we get an access report for the UK on what has happened, what is going on in the sector, what are the modes for accessibility, and so on. So I think that these type of hybrid exhibitions are either a category on their own or they fall under access technically because it has to do with space and planning of space. And I'm asking if there are any new modes for reporting and measuring this kind of exhibitions yet, or this will develop as the field will develop. That is my question.
I guess that actually is developed as the field is developed, because also like we have new applications emerging, like Otter AI is one of them. So we have many new like apps that they have been integrated. But if we're looking into metrics, I don't think it's that is pretty straightforward. But if we look into like the depth and the quality of access, yes, then this is a different thing.
Okay, so I guess we're still rendering. Now I do want to read one report as such.
I mean, you can do this like through like questionnaires, also like through interviews. So they run like different research on audience experience.
Thank you.
So we have a question from Louise, and I'm going to just read it. So Louise says, "Hi, I'd like to know your idea of art in this context. I find the aesthetic strategy here engages more with experience, and I'd like to know more about the learning process with new technology. It seems that the art has been extended to a wide range of visual industry and techniques, including digital design, CGI, VR, AI, and so on. Has this idea of art been deviated from the idea of art that we explore as a subject related to artists or art history? Are they still important sources?" It's a very long question.
Yes. I don't think there's like right and wrong. I mean, traditional art forms, they are going to be there and they're highly appreciated. But at the same time, I think because of the fourth industrial revolution, we also have new modes of expression. So now, I mean, in the future, we're going to see like humans co-creating with robots. You know, I mean, Ars Electronica, they do lots of these projects as well. So it's just a different mode of expression. It's an extended form of expression.
Yeah. So hope that covered your question, Luis. Maybe we can talk more in the free discussion. Okay, so yeah, I believe okay, I think we if there's no more questions, then we will just move to the next section. Okay, so thank you, Christiana, for answering, and thank all of you for the thought-provoking questions. And oh, okay, I see Farah has her hand up. So yeah, go ahead, Farah.
Sorry, Christiana, I just had one question. Maybe you answered, but just wanted to double check with you. So you're going to interview the curators, not the audiences at the museums?
No, actually what I'm doing, what I have been doing, I'm going to spaces. Yes. And I'm doing like a field research. So I use narrative and action research, and I look into like how they work within the space. But I have, for today's session, I have interviewed several actually curators from the Smithsonian, basically just 3 museums. So like it was very interesting for me to see how they adopt actually to new technologies and what are the practices they bring like into their museums. And it was very interesting because each museum is very different and they have a different approach.
I see. Yeah, thank you so much. That's it.
And also like I interviewed the Ars Electronica Center.
Yeah, but for your main research, for your main PhD, so you're interviewing the curators.
I'm actually like, I have been at the CERN, at the Idea Square, where actually I was looking how they work methodologically on art and science, especially about this challenge-based innovation initiatives in collaboration with the Royal College of Art. Then I have been doing a residency at Blast Theory. It's an art collective pioneering hybrid experiences for 20 years now. They have been collaborating with the Mixed Reality Lab at the University of Nottingham. And also I have my own curatorial practice. So I was involved at START, is the Science, Technology and the Arts, a program like an initiative by the European Commission. So in the context of this program, I have organized actually like a hackathon, a forum, a multidisciplinary forum. As well, I have experience in exhibitions like at a science festival and also like a museum context. So so I kind of actually get an accumulation of all my experience and see how art, science and technology can collaborate in different spaces.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that question. And so I believe now we should move on to the next section, which is the open discussion. And this is a very important part of our event. And because for ICOM UK, every idea you contribute matters, so we can improve our work together. And we're also offering everyone this opportunity to make your voice heard in the current conversation about museums, which will shape the environment of the future. So you can share any ideas, ask questions, or talk about anything in this section. Yeah, just feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourself and speak, or you can type your words in the chat box and share your thoughts, or ask further questions. I mean, we did have a lot of unfinished topics from the questions, so yeah, maybe we can pick up on one of these and expand it further. Yeah, and I think maybe I'll throw in a topic from our questions. It's about, just now Farah was asking about the different engagement methods, in the practice. And also Christiana, you said you're focusing on the curatorial part of these new practices in museums. Yeah, so I was wondering, because I studied curating for my master's, and I was wondering, how the curators adapt to these new technologies in museums, because when they, curate exhibitions, these new methods of curating or of presenting, the exhibition, either VR or AR, I mean, can be quite a shock, and and when the audience, they experience these, and they want more, probably they want more fascinating ways of experiencing the exhibition. So it's very interesting to me how the curators adapt to this situation. I'm sure.
Like it depends on the vision of the museum as well, and the context of the museum. So an example, like, when I was in this program, the Mindsets and Missions from the Museums Association, most of the involved museums actually were like science and discovery centers. So they were not really like art museums. So I guess there's like a difference between the curatorial approach, like for contemporary art museums, and a different approach, an example like for the science museums. Which actually they are more like research also like based. So this was the idea of this program, like how we can change that and communicate actually science and research like in a more interesting way. And actually the science centers, they seem to like to adapt like very easily. Especially like there were some observatories that they want to work with dome technologies. So my university, like we work a lot with dome technologies, and we even run a dome festival every year. So we have an immersive media lab and a digital fabrication lab. So it seemed like more natural, but I think it depends on the museum. So an example like the Cooper Hewitt Museum, they also work with the Smithsonian collections. So their way of adopting to the digital collections is to the new like emerging technologies is by actually digitalizing their collections. So they bring, I guess, also like a new skill set. So they collaborate with new people.
Yeah.
So I don't think they are the same curators, just like doing everything. So they also like bring like different people on board that they collaborate on new initiatives.
Definitely, yeah. And I think just
the case, yes.
Yeah, and just like you always you mentioned a few times, the collaboration is very important, I think, because going back to your presentation, with the scales, transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary, that's the key words nowadays, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And also like it depends. I mean, some museums there's actually a very interesting publication. It's called Hybrid Museum Experience. It's from the University of Amsterdam. You can find it online. It's open access. I mean, an example like the blast theory that I did a residency, they developed this application called Gift. So like they developed actually this application before COVID in 2019. And the whole idea is that you actually send like you see like something in the museum, and you send it as a gift to someone else, and they can share this experience with you. I think like applications, and they can be also like a medium of communication, but also many museums, they have been developing even lab themselves. So an example, like there is another actually museum in Rio de Janeiro that they have actually established like a lab within the museum. Also like the Beaux-Arts lab in Brussels, they showcase like art, science and technology. The art and technology lab at LACMA in Los Angeles, it actually runs since the 1968. So it's like an initiative that has been running for a long time. So I can see also like many labs emerging within the museum practice anyway, I think at the moment, but also like other museums, depending on the thematic focus, they adopt the strategies that they are more actually suited to their content.
Yeah, it's very interesting to know, so many museums are adapting to this new methods. Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to.
Museum in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, that is actually a museum of art and science, and they have a collaboration with the university and is actually the degree of electronic arts. So there's also many museums that they collaborate with academic partners, like even the Science Gallery. The Science Gallery in London, they collaborate with King's College, or also like is an initiative that they have been collaborating with universities worldwide.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and I was, at the beginning when you were talking about, the art and science, and how the art and science first collaborated, and then, it comes these universities, museums, all collaborating together. And I don't know why, but I was thinking about because it involves science, so I was always thinking about religion and science. How religion and science, they're always also having this kind of interesting relationship. So, and I always think it's always better to go together, to combine and to let each other in, to see what they can get from the other side rather than going against each other. So I think the art and science are doing a good example nowadays.
Yes, and also this is like the transdisciplinary discourse, like creating a unity.
Yeah. Just like what we're trying to do here, right? We're creating a unity, a community. Yeah. Okay, Farah, please go ahead. Yeah, just unmute yourself and join the conversation. That's fine.
Oh, thank you. I went to the Barrel collection last week in Glasgow, and they won the Art Fund Museum of the Year 2023. And for me, it was very interesting how they balance the museum experience in terms of both traditional modes of engagement and also digital modes of engagement. For example, as a visitor, I like to have both modes of engagement. I like to read the label, very traditional way of just experiencing a museum or a gallery, and also at the same time like to just wear a headset, see something, or experience immersive technology or something like that. And above that, the way I pay attention to the labels, the curators have been trying to just very simply and very innovative describe just an artwork or an object. So it was very interesting that how they reinterpret the artwork and objects. And for me, I think, it's my opinion, for having a successful museum experience, we shouldn't have necessarily have the lot of digital experience. Or I think it's very interesting to have a balance of both methods, traditional and more innovative one. Is my own experience. I don't know about other people, but I think in this way we can cater to different audiences as well. So some people are more interested in new ways of engagement. Some maybe older people, they want to more in traditional ways of reading the label as well. So I just wanted to share my experience about Barrel collection. I haven't visited the Barrel collection before the renovation and redevelopment. I don't know how it looked like in the past, but I visited last week specifically to the reason that how and why they won the Art Fund Museum of the Year. So I just wanted to share with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, to be honest, like most of the museums, because of their content, they can't be like 100% digital. So there are museums that actually they are virtual. Yes, so they can be like digital 100%, but generally, because all the museums, they have collections and content, they can't really digitalize everything. So this hybrid model seems to be like more like emerging as a new modes of, engagement, but at the same time, I think traditional forms, they're still going to be there.
Yeah, definitely. And just now when Farah was speaking, I was thinking, about this question I also mentioned before: is will the audience, want more? What if there's an exhibition maybe like this year without any digital, like devices, or doesn't combine with tech and science? It's just, the collaborations and traditional exhibition? Will they feel bored? Athena, what do you think? Like,
I don't know.
yes, it's very interesting, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I think,
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
One exhibition that is fully digital that was happening is the XR in BFI, which is like doesn't have any actual display to see, and is quite, it follows completely different layout, and it's quite interesting that you're going to an empty space that doesn't have any exhibition material at all, but all the exhibitions are in like either virtual reality or your phone or any other form. So I think it's quite an alternative way of curating, and I can understand that it's quite hard to guide people around, so they have a lot of staff there in order to guide people how to go to these booths that they have different elements.
But the original creation of empty space exhibition was the one from Yves Klein and Iris Clare all the way back in what was it, 1960, 1950, where they presented the empty gallery space, and I didn't think to connect it that today we can have an empty space that is so full of artwork if we want to, thanks to technology, which is brilliant. And why I raised my hand before is that I don't know if you know, there is this tiny, almost exclusively online museum. It's called Museum of Obsolete Media. And it started by one person who started collecting. He saw how fast technology was advancing, and he started to collect mostly software because he can't keep his collection physically. So he documents all types of technology and uploads them online. And he has created a collection, and he also created a list of, hunted objects, part of the technology that we used, but it's now no longer there. And I think that not only have we advanced in exhibitions, not only do we have online museums, but we have an online museum that is there to take on what is left behind by technology, which I think is very interesting. Like the future times of museums are kind of now. Yeah, this is it. Aja has their hand on.
Yeah. If you want to go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, as was following on from one of Farah's remarks, and also other people, that as possibly the oldest person in the room, as a child, say in London, the Science Museum actually had buttons you could press and things you could turn around, which was amazing for its time. And they say that I think there's kind of a danger in, I'm not being a Luddite, but there's kind of danger of sort of maybe trying to, there might be over expectations on the part of the public, and say in particular children that we want to encourage to get the museum habit, that the expectations might be raised so much that they're demanding the VR and the gizmos, and somehow there's a danger of losing or missing the academic side of things. I mean, i.e. that there might be this push to add extra sensory expectations that it's kind of like a blind alley, that one might miss the appreciation of the object, whatever it may be. So that might get, I see a danger of that might be being left behind. But so a lot of the talk about scientific museums, but one, the very tiny museum in Riga, Latvia, Modus Muzeis, the fashion museum, they have one very tiny room, but they're showing the fashion of different ages, but adding it's moving insofar that the costumes are being rotated and highlighted, and one gets music of the period. So it is a kind of I felt the balance was actually quite nice, because the music and the rotation of the objects they don't take away from the sensory experience, but add to it. While at the same time, when as an audience, one can actually examine the objects all the way around. So I thought that was a very clever way of doing it, and I'm proud of my home city. Not that I'm decrying the Victoria and Albert Museum, but by any means. I mean, maybe they've done that, but I haven't had a chance to be in London for some time. But another museum that doesn't, I mean, it kind of falls, when I say it falls between several stools, but in a fantastic way, is the Museum of Immigration in Dublin. That has actually very little by way of objects, but explains the Irish diaspora, I think, in a very, very fascinating way. So I raise my chapeau to the curators of the Museum of Immigration in Dublin. So anyway, it was more remarks than questions about those personal observation and thoughts.
Athena, did you have anything to add on?
Yes, now that I heard immigration is recently I had the opportunity to visit a museum that is now currently being built in Athens. It's the Museum of Greek Refugees. And already, as you go through the museum, their plan is very nice, the way they take you kind of round. So it's not, so I liked how they created the space, but also they have a fantastic amount of digital displays and some interactive displays that are already built in. And I've seen this in other museums as well. Now there is no longer the idea of the museum already has started to change and shift. And when we go into the actual building of the structure, not just the temporary exhibition that can be interactive, digital means are already expected, which I hadn't really observed it when I was there, but now that I can look at it, from afar, it is very interesting that you can't really go without a digital display of some sort. That is not just a chair and a video projection. I mean, also the other thing that I thought that we should tell Aija is, you remember when I told you that there is the Citadel in Arras in France, where they have, it's very cold because it's an old fortress, and in order to heat it, they used the servers. They added servers and they rent out those servers. And this is a way for them to be sustainable because they heat the building through the heat of the servers, and they also generate additional income. So perhaps at the moment, there is a disadvantage between sustainability and technology. So in our efforts to be more digital, perhaps we're not as sustainable, but this doesn't cut out that creative solutions that respond to technology will start emerging, just like this example did. And we were going to see more and more fusion. But as Christiana well said, this will require collaborations. So the more collaborations we have, and actually when we talk collaborations, we don't just mean someone that knows augmented reality. We talk all around the board. At this point, everything can become a fruitful collaboration in the sector, I feel like. That is all.
Yeah, just like Christiana said, collaboration is the key point here.
And also, like, I mean, many curators, they focus, like, their expertise is like in new media. Yes, there's like a series of like new media curators, but at the same time, you still have to actually collaborate with the technologists, with companies, with industry, with artists, with scientists, with narrators.
Yeah.
With historians, with theorists, critics.
Yeah, so I think, of course, there will be many issues, just like I mentioned, with the how can they make it more, make these exhibitions or the new tech more stronger, how do they make it more academic, all sorts of questions. But I think in order to solve these, we just need to seek out collaborations, and to just like interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary collaborations. And I believe, there will always be issues and problems, but it's a good direction for going forward. Yeah, and I think today's topic is really interesting, and I'm still thinking about our conference in November. Yeah, it's this topic really coherent with that, because it's the title for the conference is going to be crafting experiences in museums, and whether it's physical or digital. And yeah, and like I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion there as well. So really later I'm gonna let Athena to post the link to the call for papers again. So any of you who are interested, please have a look at the introduction to the conference, and email your proposals to us, to Louise. Anything else we want to discuss today?
Is the conference going to be hybrid?
No, it's going to be only online this time.
Only online. Okay.
Yeah, because it's our first time, so yeah, and it's hard to get everyone in the same place, and we don't have a really big budget, to be honest. So yeah, so it's going to be online this time, and it's going to be a one-day conference, but hopefully next year we'll try to make it hybrid, and maybe try to make it a 2-day conference. Yeah. But it's going to be very interesting.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, it's very interesting.
Yeah, so I see Lee Fernley typed in our chat, Team Lab has excellent exhibitions everywhere, merging natural and art. They are missing the music part. Yeah, just now, when you are doing the presentation, I'm also thinking about this. Team Lab is really doing a fantastic job worldwide, Yeah, I'm back in China now, and they have many exhibitions here in China, in different cities, and it's all like very immersive, very digital, and it's a lot of fun to engage with the exhibitions. But what do you think?
Very well known, actually. They have like there's many products like worldwide.
Yeah, but I guess, what do you think about the part where they miss the music? Maybe they can do more like contents related to music.
I think it depends on like the music, because like of the sound, it's a bit more particular in museums. So like it depends again. So an example like the Ars Electronica, they have a section on AI in music, where you can experience like this section and also see how artificial intelligence is reshaping like artistic practice.
Yeah.
Which is another very interesting actually theme at the moment, especially in culture like AI and archives.
AI and archives.
Yes, it's another very interesting upcoming topic.
Yeah, brilliant things in AI and archives. There are so many things it can do. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
In terms of art, though, it is quite scary how fast AI art is spreading from an artist point of view. But going back to what Lee Fern said, the Futurium Lab also has a lot of immersive experience, and they do blend the digital, and they did have an online training series, which I think is still available on YouTube. It was called Making Sense. And they basically took all the senses. So it was sight, touch, smell and taste, and hearing. So already there is the element, not exactly of music, but of how hearing affects us when we go into the exhibition space. I think we're moving towards a more and more holistic exhibition environment where it takes you from all over the place. Also, an interesting thing. So I'm not really a fan of, in France, we call it Atelier de Lumière, the big interactive exhibitions with a projection of the light, the ones, we've all seen them. So for me, that was never the best example of what digital and art can do. But recently there was the David Hockney exhibition where David Hockney himself was actually narrating the pieces that were projected, and that it was actually very interesting in this genre of digital exhibitions to actually have the living, breathing artists immerse you in their space, which I think it was the first time with a still living artist to do that. I'm not sure I remember the name.
I think it was in London, isn't it?
Yeah, it was in London.
Yeah.
It was fairly recently.
It's an exhibition. Yeah. Some
Yeah.
of my went to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all of these are, I think, different ways of trying that, right? It's different approaches, different methodologies. Yeah.
Yeah, I found it. It is David Hockney, Bigger and Closer, Not Smaller and Further Away was the
That's
name.
right. The name.
Yeah, I'm posting the link in the chat.
Yeah, and I think Farah has a very good point. She said we might have AI curators in the future, and Christiana.
I was doing a course actually. I'm doing a course on AI and art, and yesterday it was our last session, and actually it has been done. It was like Jonas Land is an artist, but he created actually this project like an exhibition curated by AI. So it's a very interesting perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, when I was testing out the limits and intelligence of ChatGPT, I asked it to do, my experience with Atlantis. I wanted to see if it knows that Atlantis is fictional or not. And it was like, I asked it to give me an archaeological planning, visiting plan for the site of Atlantis. And it came back to me. It said, sorry, that it's a fictional place, but it could make me a plan for another site if I wanted to. And when you go towards that, it's not very bad, but I think that because there are not enough data from the people that conduct these exhibitions, IRL, the AI has not had enough time to train on them to produce more groundbreaking exhibition unless you download the AI yourself and you feed it data. Which is I think someone can do easily with Stable Diffusion. But still, I feel that at least in the sector, professionals like curators should share more of the information, the feedback they get from the exhibitions, if at all they implement, asking your audience, how did you feel about the exhibition today? But I do think that we need more sharing of practices, not just visiting by chance, but actually being informed in the sector together.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, Christiana, how did the AI curated exhibition go?
I have sent you like the link now here on the chat, so you can see like more about, you can read about it. But also another very interesting actually artist that I have been exploring is Sukwen Chang, where actually she draws with robots. It's like drawing operations, which is a very interesting project too.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Let me send you that one as well. It's basically a human-robot drawing collaboration.
Okay. Yeah, I mean this. There's so much issue to discuss around this AI and the art world. I remember going to an event last year or the year before last year, I couldn't remember, and it's people were discussing about AI as authors to artworks, the authorship of artworks. So if for example, an AI, let's say, created a piece of painting or created an exhibition, can we give the AI this authorship? Like, that's also a very interesting topic. But that was like 2 years ago. So I think now, so many, when ChatGPT came, the authorship is like.
This year's Ars Electronica Festival, actually, this is their theme: Who owns the truth? And who owns the truth? And they talk about ownership and how we experience actually ownership from different perspectives, and geographical and display perspectives.
I mean, so far AI creations, I mean, not from all of them, but for most of them at the moment, the rights are open. The problem is more from the people, like a lot of artists have been raising concerns that the AI uses their data, their artworks to create, and that maybe that shouldn't be allowed. And personally, I don't agree with that. I think that in art, whether you are a robot, AI, or a person, you can be inspired by other artworks, and I stand with that. So, but this is a very controversial opinion, according to at least the wave of the discourse I've seen online with AI.
Yeah,
I don't know. I really like AI. I think it can do fun things for now.
Yeah, but I mean, like this raises another question. Can AI be inspired? Or are they just studying?
I mean, they are saying that after a while, some of the. So there is again the other discourse that is decided is that there will be like the job of the future will be AI prompter. So you give it prompts, but then there are other people that are saying that AI eventually will know and predict the prompts you want to give it. So after a while, even the idea of me asking for something will not be as open as now, because the AI will already know the options that are available.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm curious to know, when dealing with these curators, Christiana, like, do they ever have this concern as well, or do you discuss this maybe in your thesis or in your studies about whether AI would would replace the curators or artists?
I don't really discuss this on my thesis, but I think it's an emerging theme that, you know, it really has been known for, especially like the last year, but and also like it's about where does the I and we start, and, you know, where is the collaboration between human and robots, but it has been going actually for a long time. Human-computer interaction and collaboration as a discipline, it just like takes a different form at the moment, and it's developing. There was actually a conference called AI for Good. They had like open access where they discuss also like all those things.
Yeah, I think, you know, people are always very afraid of, you know, the AI, and, you know, whether they would replace us, you know, they would take our jobs and stuff. But I think, you know, the key word for today is collaboration, right? So I think, yeah, we need to also learn how to collaborate with them, probably, to, you know, that's I guess one of the ways to solve this concern. Yeah, if we're always concerned of whether they would replace us, or whether we can beat them, you know, outsmart them, or if they would outsmart us, that's going against each other and not collaborating with each other.
Exactly, we can co-create with technology.
Yeah. Okay, looking at the time now, we have 5 minutes. Are there anything else anyone wants to discuss today?
Thank you, Farah.
Okay, so if there's nothing else for today, I think we can conclude this event. I mean, if there's anything else you would like to discuss or share your thoughts, you can always email us or email Christiana. If Christiana, if you want to share your email in the chat. Yeah, there's always more room for discussion. But as for today, yeah, I would like to thank everyone for taking part to participate in today's event. And thank you, Christiana, for giving us this wonderful presentation and the answers to the questions. And, you know, good luck with the rest of your PhD, and looking forward to your final piece.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It has been a pleasure, like, and an honor to be here and among this group and have this fascinating discussion. So thank you so much. Thank you.
And as always, our next event is going to be in September, so it's going to be another 6 weeks from now. And yeah, please keep an eye out for our next museum talk. When it's ready, it will go online to the ICOM UK official website, and we would send out emails to you guys. So yeah, please keep an eye. And for the conference and for the join as a speaker, Athena has just posted. Yeah, please join us if you're interested, you know, just like Christiana have done today. Just, yeah, become a guest speaker, share anything you want with us, whether it's a finished project or it's a ongoing project. Yeah, and our goal is to create a community, stronger community together. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming today, and hope to see you at our next event. Bye for now. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.